Hey everybody, this is the Drive On Podcast, where we talk about issues affecting veterans after they get out of the military. I'm your host, Scott DeLuzio, and now let's get on with the show. Think back to basic training when you might have learned your combat life-saving skills. Or maybe you learned this later on in your military career. I don't really know when everyone is first introduced to it in the military, or even if all MOSs are taught the same type of life-saving skills. As an infantryman, I know we had our first exposure to this type of medical training while we were in basic training. We learned basic medical skills like how to use a tourniquet to stop bleeding, how to perform CPR, and other life-saving skills that you might need on the battlefield. When we deployed to Afghanistan, each soldier was issued their own first aid kit with bandages and tourniquets, nasopharyngeal airway tubes, and other things like that. And this basically guaranteed that no soldier would have to wait for a medic to arrive in order for treatment to begin. Your buddy who might be next to you if you got injured could start treatment right away because they had the same training that you had. Even if you were for some reason isolated and you were separated from anybody else in your unit, you could perform some of these basic treatment things on your own. You can put your own tourniquet on or something along those lines. So we had the training, we had the equipment to treat some of the more common injuries that a soldier would face on the battlefield. Anything from collapsed lungs or severed limbs or arteries could be treated relatively quickly. And I don't have the statistics on this, but these basic medical steps, I'm sure, have saved numerous soldiers' lives throughout the various wars that they've been applied to. So we had the training and we had the equipment to deal with these injuries. But from day one of this training, we were taught that security comes first. And think about it. If a soldier is shot out in the open, do you really want to run out and drag him back to safely? Of course you want to get your buddy out of harm's way, but it could be a death sentence for you if you do it without securing the area first. You're not going to be able to outrun the bullet that the sniper or the machine gunner who just shot your buddy is going to be shooting at you in your direction if you try to run out to help them. So security has to be a priority. You're going to need to lay down some fire in the direction of the threat, call in an airstrike, or if they're close enough, toss some grenades in their direction, something along those lines. Meanwhile, your friend's going to be still laying there bleeding. And it's not an easy thing to do, to watch your buddy just lay there suffering while you're, shooting back at the bad guys who are shooting at you or still towards your buddy. But you have to secure the area first. And you have to do it quickly because your buddy doesn't have all day to lay there with a gunshot wound or whatever the other injuries might be that they have. Gosh, this sounds cold, doesn't it? Just leave your buddy lying there while you worry about protecting yourself. But it's not the only time we do things like this. Think about the last time you were in an airplane. Before takeoff, the flight attendant tells you that in the event of a decrease or a drop in the cabin pressure, oxygen masks will be deployed from the ceiling. They tell you to put your mask on first before helping others. But why? When the cabin pressure drops suddenly, without a stable source of oxygen, you'll probably pass out pretty quickly. Now let's say you're helping a child who's scared and starts to fight you when you're trying to put on their mask. They keep ripping it off, or they keep pushing your hands away as you're trying to help them put that mask on. And you struggle for a bit, and then boom, you pass out. Now, not only don't you have your oxygen mask on, that child doesn't either. And forget about it if you're traveling with more than one kid. Now you have several kids plus yourself who now are not able to have their oxygen masks on. So they tell you to put your mask on first. And that way you know you're safe, and then you can help out that child. Even if they do happen to pass out because you took too long to put your own mask on or something like that, um, and their mask didn't end up getting put on quickly enough, you're still conscious enough to help them. You still can get that mask on them, and then hopefully, they start breathing and regain consciousness through that mask. I don't know exactly how all of that works and everything, but that's kind of the idea. In other words, if you don't help yourself first, you're going to become useless to this child. If you pass out before you can help that child, you're not going to be a whole heck of a lot of help to them. So in this situation, it makes sense to help yourself first. In combat, you're not going to be much help to your injured buddy until all the threats have been eliminated. So you help yourself first by eliminating that threat. But it also helps your buddy because you're still around to help them once that threat is gone. And plus, that threat isn't still attacking them in the meantime. You're drawing the fire away from them. And so you're helping them by eliminating that threat. It doesn't sound so cold anymore once you think about it this way. And we're asked to help people all the time, aren't we? This is especially true like around Christmas time. There's always people collecting money for one cause or another. The Salvation Army, you might see them outside of grocery stores with their bells and the big red buckets. We might get asked by neighbors to help with something around the house or around the neighborhood. Maybe our boss asks us to come in on our day off over and over again. By themselves, helping in any of these situations is not a bad thing. Donating time or money to a worthy cause is always a good thing. I can't really think of a reason why it would be a bad thing. Helping out a neighbor is also not a bad thing. Assuming you have the skills and the ability to help them with whatever they're asking you for, and you don't cause a bigger problem because you're not qualified or you don't know really what you're doing to fix something or whatever, helping out that neighbor isn't going to be a bad thing. And working a little extra at your job to show your boss that you're committed to the company may even help you get promoted faster or get you a raise in addition to maybe overtime pay that you might be getting for coming in on your day off. Right? Just like helping your buddy on the battlefield or a kid on the airplane, none of these are bad things by themselves. But you have to take a step back and see if that by helping, you're putting yourself in an unnecessary disadvantage or an unnecessary bad situation. For example, you could drop a few bucks in the Salvation Army bucket at Christmas time. And usually it's not going to be a big deal financially, a few dollars here and there. But what if you're struggling to pay your own bills? Maybe there's someone in your family that had an accident and the medical bills are piling up. Or maybe you got laid off from your job and you just trying to keep the lights on is becoming a struggle. Now those few bucks are not really doing as much good in the Salvation Army bucket as they would be going towards your own family's medical bills or electric bill or something along those lines, some other essentials that your family needs. You might think, oh, it's just a few dollars and that's not going to pay all of my medical bills anyway, so you might as well just help.